All right, it looks like it's recording. Hi guys, Monday. So we're here again, week number 5. Just kidding, 4, chapter number 5. And again, I'm live on YouTube as well, just in case. I will start, I guess, as always, and give you feedback concerning your LOs, LPs, and for the first time PDOs. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about what we have for this Sunday. And I'm going to finish it up with chapter 5, uh, strategic management, which is kind of one of the longer slideshows, chapters, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine, I promise. All right, so LO. I'm gonna, let me see. I would like to share my screen if possible. Getting there. All right. So I'll start with your LO. One of the 5 items, you'll miss it. And when you'll miss an item, I take it very personally and I blame myself. So I gave everybody the point, but also I would like to explain what I was trying to accomplish with that item, and obviously it wasn't clear. Okay, so this is the item: the boundaries between the promotion of sports and the use of sport events and athletes to promote products have been dissolved. What I was trying to tell you or to show you is that um, the promotion of the sport and then the promotion of the products have become in a way so similar, which and I hope that I communicated that through my lecture last week in the video. Um, but what I'm trying to say here is we don't know, if the sport itself is bigger than the promotion of the products, or the promotion of the products is bigger now than the actual promotion of the sports for the sport industry. That's what I was trying to communicate. So the statement was true. Everybody said false. Since everybody said false, as I said before, I took it personally. I gave everybody the point, and hopefully now I explain myself. We're good? If not, shoot me an email. Okay? All right. I'm gonna stop sharing this part and I'm gonna go to our course. But before even going there, actually, what I want to say is I want to talk a little bit about the rest of them, the LPs and the videos. I've already sent individual feedback, so pretty good quality for the LPs. Uh, Keep killing it. I'm very pleased. I'm giving you some minor feedback, things that you have to take care of, so you can get full credit, and also um, I just want you to reach uh, your potential. I know you can do a little bit better, and you will, and you will. The PDO, one group didn't submit for whatever reason, doesn't matter. The other group that they did submit, exceptional work. I was really pleased. I sent them, it's one of our biggest projects for this course. So those kind of projects require more feedback. So I gave them very specific feedback based on the rubric. It went very well. I'm very pleased. Guys, just I'm very satisfied. I'm very satisfied. Just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to learn so much, and it's going to be a great experience overall. So thank you so far, and keep killing it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again since I'm done with feedback, and I'm going to show you what we have for next week, which is again three kinds of things. LO5, that is about strategic sports management. In chapter 5, we're going to talk about in a little bit. Okay. Again, 5 questions. Right. Everything closes on Sunday at 11:59. We have 2 LPs, if I'm not wrong. Now we have groups 5 and 6 here, right? Um, and now we have 2 more PDOs, and now we have groups 4 and 3, okay? Where do you find all that information? You find it up here, right? List of topics for LPs, list of topics for PDOs, and in the forum, you can find the information about the groups, okay? If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'm gonna schedule a meeting, but also tomorrow, don't forget office hours from 8 to 12:30. So for 4.5 hours, I'll be online waiting for you in case you have, you and others, in case you have any questions, ideas, concerns, you know. All right, so there's that. And now it's time for, for chapter 5. Let me go share my screen again. Before I even go there, I want you to understand that we just finished with the 4 chapters. You know, the first part, it's pretty introductory, and we talk about the 3 main players of the sports market, right? Profit, non-profit, and the government, right? And the first chapter, we're just talking about those 3 in general. And then chapter 2, 3, and 4, we went into detail about these 3 players in the sport market. Now we're going to the second section of the book, which is the rest of the chapters, which is from chapter 5, chapter 14. What are we going to talk about? Now we're going to talk about in general about sports management principles. So now we're making it a little bit more specific now. I just said now twice. And I don't want you to freak out. We're gonna start talking about, terminology, a lot of terms, but we're gonna use them in this context, and that's why we designed this course. We didn't want you to just take a management class. So this class will talk about management, but it will put it in this context, and hopefully, with all these case studies that we're talking about, it will make a lot of sense, and you're gonna enjoy it while learning a lot. Okay. All right. So after this introduction, I can go ahead and share my screen one more time and go here and share. Okay. And try to go full screen. All right. Looks like it's working. Chapter 5, the first chapter of the second section of the book, which is sports management principles. And this first chapter of that second section talks about strategic sport management. Okay, we're gonna break down terms. We're gonna explain in general what is strategic management, what's strategic management in this context. We're gonna talk about some theories. Okay, I'm gonna break them down, give some examples. I don't want you to freak out if you haven't taken any management classes, but we do need this kind of information, no matter what you're gonna do in your life. Okay, we do need that basic information. And then we're going to end up, we're going to talk about strategy in chains and then strategy in practice. All right. But most of the time, we're going to talk about this strategic management process. Okay? We're going to talk about some ways to do it. All right. Now, in the simplest terms available, strategic management is the interface between the organization and that external environment, as you can see, right? And that is that's very important to define it like that. Why? Because it shows, first of all, that there is an interaction. And there are 2 main players that we have to think about when we strategize. We have to think about our organization, ourselves, right? The entity we're working for, and then the outside. So we're looking internal and then the external environment. And the external can be anything, competitors, policies. We'll talk about all these things in a little bit. That's one. Two, uh, we put equal weight on both of these things. We don't say internal is more important than external or the other way around. Both of them are equally important. And now here, we need to break it down into detail and check those two elements into depth and have that holistic approach when we talk about strategy. So two players equally important in a holistic approach, and we go into depth. Those are the three things I want you to remember just from the definition. Okay, and what does strategy involve? Oh, a lot of things, and we're going to talk about all of them as we go. But uh, we need to understand all of these things when we talk about the organization and the environment and whatever decisions we make. We need to understand that those both elements play a key role in the decisions, and then those decisions affect those two elements, the internal and the external environment. So we talk about direction and scope of activities. Where are we going to focus? What are we doing? Okay, we're in sports industry. That's okay, cool. What are we doing? Are we selling merchandise? Are we selling tickets online? Are we owning a team? Do we have a youth club and we're developing athletes? Are we Nike? Are we Adidas? Who are we? What are we doing? Exactly. Right? What's the environment? And the environment has to do, as we said, like competitors, policies, geographically speaking, what's the environment, suppliers, buyers, what is going on. What do we want to do and what we can do? What resources do we have? And when we talk about resources, we talk about everything: people, time, tangible resources, whatever we use. Let's say we're Nike and we're talking about a specific type of cloth that we want to use, right? And then stakeholders. Stakeholders, the term stakeholder, I want you to remember, and we're going to break it down in a little bit. For now, I want you to remember that there are a lot of stakeholders. There are a lot of people who are interested in the company, let's say that we have all running, and a lot of people have interest or they will get affected by those decisions. And interestingly enough, uh, sometimes we can't satisfy all of them. So we need to know what they're looking for, what all these stakeholders are looking for before we make any of those decisions. It will make sense in a little bit. I want you to know that term though, and if possible, especially for the LPs, use that term, okay, in your presentation. And then what's the long-term direction? Where are we going in general? Where do we see ourselves in 3, 5, 10 years? Okay. Now, as we're trying to match what we can do with the environment, that alone should create a competitive advantage that nobody else can match. So if we do this thing correctly, that's why it is so important. Uh, Nobody would be able to copy what we're doing. Of course, it's not that simple, right? But that's why it is strategic management is that important. And we have just a chapter. That's the first chapter of the second section of our book. All right, let's move on. What is the difference between strategy and planning? Uh, so when we're strategizing, usually we talk about a long-term or like mid-term plans. And the planning part is mostly about how we're actually going to do it, how we're going to break it down. Okay. So strategizing is giving us a general direction of where we want to go. And for us, planning is okay, this is where we're going to go, but how are we going to actually go there? Okay. So if we do it correctly, and we actually can differentiate and do correctly the strategy and the planning part, we should be able to create a process and have a coordinated attempt to actually do what we're trying to do. And when we strategize, we can strategize in a lot of levels. So we're going to talk about mainly three levels. Identity, where do we want to go in general? Why do we exist? Competitive advantage, why and how we're going to be different than our competitors. It's going to be something that has to do with price. Are we focusing on wins? Are we focusing on winning the championship? Are we focusing as this organization on quality of the product? Let's say playing high quality football. Are we trying to be better because or different based on the, the service that we're providing? So there are a lot of things that we need to understand. And then at the operational level is the level that is we consider all the way down, and is how we're actually gonna do in a practical way all this that we just talked about, how we're gonna create that competitive advantage that is based on our identity. All right, why undertake strategic management? Okay, a lot of people, or not a lot of people, some people, we are going to talk about, uh, you know, I plan as I go, and I don't really put a lot of emphasis of strategizing, and I'm just reacting to whatever happens in the market. What we're trying to do with strategic management and trying to explain why is this important is because we are trying to be proactive. And by saying being proactive, we're trying to be ready for whatever we think or we expect that may happen in the future. Okay? If we actually do that in a way that is efficient, um, we can use whatever we have, and we can increase the coordination in all the departments in the organization, and um, we create that sense of certainty in all the stakeholders, which is great. And most likely will be ready to take advantage of opportunities, but also um, have the ability to attack any kind of threat that may come along in the future. Okay, and that's why we are undertaking strategic management. That's why we're promoting it right now. And we're saying, of course, that being proactive is better than reactive. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit towards the end of the slideshow. All right. Strategic sports management. The thing here is that in a sport organization, things may get a little bit complicated. We may have divergent obligations, and we may need to find the balance between them. We may have a club, a sports team, and we may need to put focus on winning the championship, but also developing athletes through our youth programs. So we don't need to buy athletes all the time. So so that, for example, in soccer, that's something very common, right? See Barcelona, for example. Messi comes from the youth development programs. I don't know if you knew that, but that's a fact. So if you're creating this talent, right, you don't actually have to buy it from another team. So there, where are you going to put more emphasis? Ajax, which is in the Netherlands, a very historic team soccer team, puts a lot of emphasis in the youth program. Other teams just put more emphasis on their elite level program and they buy players and try to win championships. So a lot of times you're trying to create that balance, and things could get a little bit more complicated. All right. Let's get down with it a little bit. All right. The processes have steps. We're going to talk about 5 steps, how we're actually doing it. So now we're going to get practical. And as you can see, we're talking about 5 steps: analysis, direction, development, implementation, and evaluation. Let's go one by one. All right. The very first thing we have to do is an analysis, and 2 kinds of analysis. An internal analysis, as you can see here, and an external analysis. So, and that's the thing we're going to talk about in a little bit, SWOT, SWOT. You see here, we're going to come back to that and talk about it. So, well, let's start with the external environment, right? Who are our competitors, which are our customers, and what's the environment right now? For example, COVID, right? What happens in the economy right now? That's something that we should know, we should analyze. It will affect us, whether we like it or not, right? Okay, and then internal analysis. What are we doing, what we're trying to do, what we have, what we don't have, what can we do better, and which are our stakeholders. And I'm going to talk again about the stakeholders in a little bit. Once we figure that out, we can figure out where we can go. And then we create a mission, a vision, and the objective. Mission is about the why. Why do we exist as a company, right? I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. And then vision is where do we see ourselves in 5, 10 years? And then objectives, how are we going to do that? Once we know the direction of the company, which is again is based on that relationship between the internal and the external environment, we can actually formulate that strategy. And that's the step that we can be the most creative, right? So what do we want to focus? We're going to focus on cost, really low cost, different product. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? How are we going to do all this? And then once we formulate our strategy and we are more specific, we have to actually implement it, right? We'll have to deploy the strategy that we just formulated. And we have to create those products or services or systems of delivery, for example, and what's the culture of the company. All of this has to be actually deployed. And as anything that has to do with decision making, right? At the very end, you're doing what? You're evaluating your process. You're evaluating your process. And here, you may have some, as we're going to talk about, key performance indicators, KPIs. And you can see, like, did we actually do what we said we were going to do? And if you did, great, keep doing the same thing if you don't need to change anything. But if you didn't, go back, I mean, you may go here, here, or all the way back in case you missed something or something changed. Again, I'm going to use COVID, right? COVID wasn't here a year ago. So you made some decisions about the next fiscal year, right? You have a budget, you made your projections and everything, and then boom, COVID. And now you see NBA is playing in the bubble. Very different. There are no fans. There are no fans, so what are you going to do? You have to go back. You have to go back, and now you see the external analysis is way different. Since this is different, this will become different, this will become different, this will become different. So again, evaluating is very important. It's really important to get some feedback of how you did and then move from there. So in a way, this thing never stops. Okay, it's moving back and forth between the stages in order to do what? To develop the best outcomes. So this will work better if you, as a manager, you see it as not something linear or discrete, but you see it as something circular and as an activity that never stops. Okay, that's the point I want to make right here. Okay, so when we do the analysis, which is the first stage or the first step, we have plenty of tools. We're going to talk about 4 tools. Okay, let's go and talk about SWOT analysis. That stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And usually in class, when I do that, I go to the board and I'm like, okay, give me an idea. What are we doing? Somebody may say, we are starting a food supplement company. Oh, we do? Okay, let's see how we can do it. So we create 4 columns and we put down our strengths and our weaknesses, our opportunities and our threats. One way to do that, to see this, is take them in pairs and be like, the strengths and the weaknesses are the internal environment. Okay, the opportunities and the threats are the external environment. Okay, opportunity may be, the store downtown just closed, or threats. I know, like, a new chain of food supplement company is going to franchise. They're going to have a franchisee in Plattsburgh, for example. So that could be a threat. Opportunity, I know, a lot of races are going to happen here next year, 5Ks and 10Ks, or Spartan, I don't know, some kind of opportunities. And then strengths and weaknesses. Strengths can be, we have a great location. Weaknesses, we know enough suppliers, but we don't have a very strong relationship at this point to get really low prices, which means our product may not be very competitive price-wise, something like that. Again, it's great, and I encourage you to take a piece of paper and sit down and write down and do an analysis based on this 4 things: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All right, let me talk about stakeholders, because I promise I'm going to talk about stakeholders. So stakeholders could be people, could be groups that have an interest in the organization. And examples include employees, players, members, league or affiliated governing bodies, the government, the community, the facility owners, sponsors, broadcasters, and of course fans. So in general, there are a lot of people that could be considered stakeholders of your company. So now you, as a sport manager, you have an issue. You have a lot of people that you try to satisfy, and not all of these people have the same interests. So they may have conflicting interests. So if I own some shares of your company, I want the price of the shares to go up. As a fan, though, I don't really care. I don't really know anything about that. Why do I want? I want you to win the championship, no matter what. Okay, so somebody who owns shares, though, or a part of the company, may be interested also in the, in the financial sustainability of the company that the fund doesn't know or doesn't care to. So again, as a manager, what do? You're trying to satisfy everybody. Can you? So the needs of the customers can be identified or can be tricky. Either or, uh, trying to satisfy all stakeholders, though, it can be very tricky. Again, know what a stakeholder is a person or a group that have an interest and can be affected by the decisions of your company. That's a stakeholder. I want you to remember that. All right, competitor analysis. Let's talk about the competitors. All right, where are they located? Okay, it can be a part of the town, like Plattsburgh, or it can be which part of New York, they just kind of rule. What's their vision and what's their intent, which are their objectives. So again, the vision has to do with how we're gonna achieve, where do we see ourselves in 5, 10 years, and the objectives is more specific, how we're gonna do that. What's the market share? The strong players, 10%, 5%, 20%. Is there a oligopoly in the market? Is there a monopoly in the market? What is going on? What's their strategy? what kind of resources they have, and what's the target market. So are they going for, I don't know, extreme sports? Are they trying to have customers from older adults? Are they going for women? Are they going for vegans? What are they trying? What's their target market? And then what's their marketing approach? Are they going, for example, are they very strong in Instagram? They use a lot of influencers. Okay, if they do, what we're going to do to be different. We need to know these things about our enemies in the market because, again, we're trying to be proactive. And if you know more about the external environment, the more you know, the more prepared you can be. Okay. These are some examples we just talked about, and that's table 5.1 that explains all these dimensions. Okay. Now we have the 5 forces approach, and in a later chapter we're going to come back to this. This is again important, and this was created by Porter. All right, what is this? What does that mean? So we have 5 things that all kind of affect us. Let's start with the bottom. Potential new entrants. Can other people enter our market easily? Like if you are an NBA team, you know they just cannot do it like that, right? You can increase the number of NBA teams or NFL teams, right? But if you are trying again to open a food supplement store in Plattsburgh, how difficult it is for somebody else to come and open another one just next to you. Okay, and what does that mean? Because the more specialized you're into something, usually it's harder for others to enter. But if you're not that specialized and it doesn't need a lot of know-how, or there are a lot of other people can enter as franchisees, then that may affect your decisions. Okay, buyers. Again, if you're opening a food supplement store, where are you buying from? Where are you buying your products from? Are you buying it from one company? Are you buying from 2 companies? For example, I don't know if you know, some of you may know, I do own a chain of food supplement stores in Greece, right? And our main company that we are exclusive distributors is Kevin Levroni Supplement Series, right? So what happens if something happens to their plan? What am I going to do? So if you're buying from one person, that may be great in a way because you can get better prices and you just focus on that, right? But if something happens, you're just done. Okay. On the other side is the suppliers. Who am I selling them to? My stores are basically like I'm wholesaling. So where am I? What if you see that way? So who? What I was trying to say is, all this time I was talking about the suppliers, not the buyers. So everything I said about who's supplying me is the Kevin Levroni signature series plant. Now, who are my buyers? Am I selling to one store? Am I selling to the Greek Walmart? And if I do, if 70, 80, 90% of my products go to a specific buyer, how much power have I given to that buyer? How is that buyer using it against me? And what am I gonna do if something happens to that buyer? If I'm selling most of my supplements to the Greek Walmart and for some reason they stop buying from me, what am I gonna do? Okay, so that's another thing you need to think about. Now, substitute products. Okay, other people cannot import increase the supplements I'm importing because I'm the exclusive distributor. But are there similar companies? Of course there are. There are, right? And there's so many supplement companies. So what makes me special? Okay, so I need to know what other products are out there and how I can differentiate myself. Again, that's important. And then what kind of rivalry am I as a competition? Is it am I entering a market that it's very competitive? And do I want that? Can I sustain really high competition? Am I strong enough to do that? So I need to think about it. So if I use another example, if you think about Nike and Adidas, right? They're so competitive against each other, but maybe they can do it. Me trying to do something similar, will I be able to survive that? Exactly. So we have these five forces that all interact with each other, right? And we have to take that into consideration in the very beginning. That's still step one of our process. Let's go to stage two, the direction. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example here. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to use the Adidas website, which is kind of similar to what we're talking about. So that will help us understand. Mission statement. What I want you to remember that mission statement is not long. It's like one sentence, and it is why this organization pretty much gives an explanation about why this organization was set up. Okay, so why we'll see in a little bit why Adidas was set up. Excuse me, I need some carbonated water. And then the vision statement is about the future and where do we see our organization in 5 years, for example. Then as we go towards the objective, the objectives are gonna reflect the vision statement, and the objectives are we're talking about medium to long-term ambitions, and they serve as markers on the way uh, to the destination, aka vision statement. Okay, and then we're talking about the performance measures. And again, here I'm gonna throw in a term that we're gonna be using, and I want you to use it in your LPs. KPI, key performance indicator. So here we have numbers, we have percentages, and usually we have timelines. So we want to increase our sales by 2% by next spring, whatever we want to do, or decrease our cost, or even get more specific area-wise or line-wise. We talk about Adidas, and I'm going to give you an example. So now you see, as we're going this way down, all the way to the measures, becoming more and more specific, and all the way down here, we're going to have numbers. Okay, so we're starting why do we exist? Where do we want to be in 5, 10 years? Some medium and long-term objectives, ambitions here, which are based on this, and the vision statement is based on the mission statement. And then the performance outcomes are pretty much, we're talking about kind of the operational level and how, like, what exactly are we looking for in order to achieve those objectives slash ambitions. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this, and I'm gonna share the Adidas website. Go here, share my screen again. There we go. So as I said before, we start with what? We start with a mission statement. Why do we exist? And here, this is the Adidas website. And here, the why do they exist? This is the CEO, right? And I didn't know if you know, but Reebok belongs to Adidas, right? Okay. Why do they exist? They exist because they want to change lives. I don't know if you expected that mission or not, but that's their why, right? And also you can see why do they exist here, because they say, as you can see, to become the best sports company in the world. So you put these two together, they're trying to become the best sports company in the world by changing lives. All right, and then we have a vision statement. Um, where do they see themselves in 5 to 10 years? And you can see that the new whatever, creating the new, um, and they want to focus on speed, on cities, and on open source. So how they deliver, where they deliver, and how they create, that's what they're going to be focusing in the next 5 to 10 years. I'll give some examples. And at the very end, here we have a lot of numbers, but it's not exactly that, objectives, you may not see them on a website, but it could definitely be, if I use this one, you see the net sales, right? 23.6 billion. They can be want to increase the net sales by 2% by then, or the net income by then, or the margin this much, 0.5% by then. So when we come all the way down to the KPIs, we have numbers, we have percentages. Up here, you can see the why do they exist and where do they see themselves in 5, 10 years. Okay, so that will be the objective, the vision statement, sorry. And down here, we can see numbers. That will be a similar example to an objective. Stop sharing this, and I will go back to my PowerPoint. All right. Stage number 3, step number 3 of our process. Now we say we can be creative. What kind of strategy are we going for? Are we going to be the ones that have the lowest price? Okay, there are stores, right? I don't know. It just came to my mind like a dollar store or something. Are you trying to have the lowest price possible? That's what you're going for, and that's what you're known for. Differentiation, you can have different products. In our kind of, if I go back to the example of supplements, I don't know, you just have vegan products, or right, so or organic, something like that. And then what's your niche market? Are you focusing to specific, I mean, geographically, are you focusing to specific, people? Are you going again for older adults, for vegans, for crossfitters, for Spartan race athletes? Um, what are you aiming for? Are you going for collegiate athletes? Are you going just for women? Are you going for pregnant, postpartum women products? What are you doing? Are you just going for the average Joe? Are you going for just elite athletes? What kind of supplements or kind of company of supplements you want to create? And that's the creative again part of the process. Now we go into the 4th step or stage out of the 5, and here we can see the implementation. So here we're talking about the operational level, and we need to know what we're doing, who is doing it, and by when. Now, if we go back here and let's say we decided to just have the lowest price for our supplements, we may go out and figure out what are our costs. Let's say our store has a rent, so we're trying to find the cheapest rent. We're trying to find cheapest employees. Somebody has to do that. We're trying to find the cheapest company out there. So we're not really focusing on quality, let's say of a whey protein powder, but we're focusing on the very low prices. Maybe we're focusing on the cheapest way to send it to somebody. So somebody, after we form that strategy, we need to tell people what to do, and specific people what to do and by when. As you can see, that's the planning element of strategy. And at the end, we give them a deadline, as we said, and we check if they actually did it so that we have numbers. We need to be able to measure it. And of course, at the very end, we go back and we figure out by using those key performance indicators, we need to increase our sales by 2% by then, blah, blah, blah. Did we do that? If we didn't do that, as we said before, there are 5 again step stages, we need to go back, right? There's no linear. We have to go back and forth all the time. And as managers, we need to be okay with it. We need to know that we're not going to be perfect. We're going to do our best. But as we're going to talk about in a little bit, we need to be flexible with our flaws and our own decisions and react when we need to react and fix things again and again and again. So here, we'll talk about strategy has changed. Strategy is great, but we can't be proactive about everything. Again, COVID. See COVID and you understand, right? The external environment, for example, changed everything. So we need to understand that, yes, we have a plan, which we have thought about a lot, but our plan needs to be flexible. Our people needs to be flexible. And if you're the manager, you're leading a team, you need to be able to let things go and start over, make the necessary changes really fast and go from there. Do not get obsessed with your original plan. Yes, we all put a lot of energy and a lot of work in it, but then things change. And you need to understand that things will change. And you need to react as managers, not just stick to the plan. Okay, do not be stubborn. I've done that mistake plenty of times. So I've learned from my mistakes. And then practice. A lot of people, they focus on strategy so much and they want to make it so perfect that they don't really apply it. You need to apply. It will never be perfect. Do the best that you can do and go for it. And then change the emerging elements that you never thought about, or maybe you couldn't even think about, and it will be fine. Be as proactive as possible. But when you need to be reactive, be reactive. And here again, your strategy will never be perfect. Do the best that you can do, put a timeline, and then go for it. Go for it, and then make the necessary adjustments as you go. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to be 100% reactive, but there's no way to be 100% proactive. Nothing, almost nothing. I don't want to be, very absolute, but almost nothing goes as planned because life, okay? And don't be stubborn as managers. Don't be stubborn. All right, so these are our take-home points as we reach the end of this chapter. I'm going to read them for you. Strategic management is founded on the principle that opportunity is discovered by analysis rather than luck. And the people who know me, they know I don't like luck at all. I just believe in being ready when the opportunity arises. Okay, and which means you have to be proactive but also reactive. So, but there's no luck, in my opinion. 5 stages: strategy analysis, strategy direction, strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and strategy evaluation. Strategic management in support organizations requires preparation, research and analysis, imagination, decision making, and critical thinking. All right, guys, again, I want you to have a great week. So far, whatever you've submitted is high quality. I'm very satisfied. Let me know if you need anything. Tomorrow we have office hours, okay? Don't forget about that. And, in the meantime, live intentionally. I'll have it too.